Hey everyone, Nobi here. Let's talk about Gotham Knights. The game's been out for a week now, and undoubtedly you've seen tons of less than flattering videos about the game and countless don't buy advisories. While I've watched many of them myself and can agree that some of them have made valid criticisms, I'd like to share my personal perspective, which is probably somewhat more favorable than the reviews you've seen. If you haven't played it yet, don't worry, this video will be spoiler free. When the game first loads, you're met with 10 to 15 minutes of expository cutscenes. While I'd recommend watching them to understand what's going on, you can skip it if you prefer. After the cutscenes, you'll be presented with the character selections, with your choice between Nightwing, the combo specialist, Robin, the tactical genius, Red Hood, the powerhouse brawler, or Batgirl, the single target bruiser. I've spent almost all of my time on Batgirl, and personally feel that she fights the most like Batman. But each character has a slightly different feel and unique set of abilities, giving them a nice array of strengths and weaknesses in fights. Regardless of who you pick, you won't be locked into this choice for the duration of the game. Anytime you return to the Belfry, which serves as the game's home base, you can simply walk up to the displayed hero suits to swap between them at will. As the developers stated in pre-release, if you're worried about non-active characters being left behind as you level up, don't be. General XP is shared amongst all of your heroes, so it's just a matter of swapping to them and choosing the loadouts that you want. Now, let's talk about arguably the biggest elephant in the room, the combat mechanics. Inevitably, Gotham Knights was always going to be compared to the Arkham series, and why wouldn't it be? With a genre-defining free-flow combat system, engagements are smooth, fighting groups of enemies feels great, and similar systems would go on to be seen in other games like Shadow of Mordor or, more recently, in Sony's Spider-Man. While I think the devs deserve some credit for trying something different, the end result is far inferior to the earlier Arkham counterparts. You will nearly constantly be doing nothing more than tapping or holding the basic attack input, depending on if you want to use a light or heavy attack. Unlike the free flow system, there also is no dedicated counter, or really any counter move at all. Your only option when an enemy's gonna hit you is to dodge, often breaking whatever combo you were in the middle of performing. In short, combat is incredibly one-dimensional and significantly more sluggish and less responsive than the previous Batman games. It can still be fun though, especially with a friend. After the tutorial, you can play in multiplayer for the entirety of the game, and where it really shines is in co-op mode. It's incredibly fun to take on groups of enemies with a buddy, especially when you manage to stealth eliminate an entire engagement. That's not to say multiplayer is perfect. At one point, I joined a game of a friend who has less than great internet service, and the experience was miserable. I was constantly rubber banding and would go from several seconds of comboing on entirely non-responsive enemies to seeing them down at my feet when the game finally caught up. It was not a fun time. The ability trees in the game are relatively robust and offer a nice variety of pathways to improve your character performance. Whether you want to focus on being stealthy or aggressive is entirely up to you. What I found to be the most useful abilities in the game are initially locked in the Knighthood track. To unlock the track, you simply need to go stop crimes in the open world, and it can be done reasonably quickly. This leads to a path where, as Batgirl, you can unlock things like cape gliding for traversal improvement, or the ability to use the bat grapple during combat, making the game feel slightly more like Arkham. Unfortunately, you won't earn enough skill points to full unlock everything in one playthrough, but New Game Plus increases the max level and lets you earn the final points needed to do so. Speaking of traversal, each character has a unique ability. For Batgirl, it's a cape glide, while Nightwing basically flies on a drone. Once you unlock your character's advanced traversal method, time challenges will unlock on the map. There's a challenge to complete for each one. They're relatively easy, and you should be able to successfully complete most of them in one or two tries. During the challenge, if you miss one of the target gates, don't panic. You don't have to hit all of them, you simply need to make it through the end gate before the timer is up. and it's entirely possible to clear the challenge even if you miss several, provided you pick up the extra time items along the path from time to time. In my clip, I was nearly great at the end there, but smacked into a fire escape when I cut my corner too tightly. However, I was able to run at street level through the final two gates and get the challenge completed. Like the Traversal challenges, there are speed gate challenges that will eventually unlock for the Batcycle. These are straightforward and function in the same way. Once again, you don't have to hit every single gate. Just get through the finish line before you run out of time. So, what else is there to do in Gotham Knights? Well, if you found yourself missing the Riddler trophies from the Arkham games, there's no shortage of collection tasks in this game. From collecting batarangs left behind by Batman, to discovering hidden Court of Owls caches and collecting all of the Historia books scattered around, collection enthusiasts will find plenty of reason to explore the hidden depths of Gotham. Finally, let's answer the question. Should Gotham Knights have been delayed again or outright canceled? I would answer that with a resounding no. It is by no means a perfect game. I've tried to touch on some of the shortcomings here, but it is still a Bat Family game, and for any hardcore fans of Batman, I would consider this game a firm must buy. Admittedly, I'm more than a little biased. I have several Batman figures around my home, plenty of Batman wall art, and own no fewer than 3 different Batman cowls. But even if you aren't an avid Batman cosplayer, there's still plenty of things to do in the game, and I can't overstate enough how much fun I've had in co-op. I'll confess that I didn't touch on everything. The gear crafting and suit variance systems built into the game are worth talking about, but we'll save that for a future video. If you've made it this far, then it's probably a good time to talk about my current favorite game, Raid Shadow Legends. I'm just kidding, I'm not sponsored at all. In fact, I promise that for however long I decide to make videos, I will never accept payment of any kind in exchange for reviews. Sincerely, thank you for watching my debut video. The best thing you can do for me is like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, Gotham needs me.